Eddie Bravo's in the studio for the next hour, then Dr. Edward Group, then Roger Stone, and so many others. We have a George Newmeyer, if I'm pronouncing that right, from the American Spectator. A bunch of other guests coming on that Stone's got set up. Eddie Bravo is the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, or JJ.com, and he's on Instagram at Eddie Bravo 10. He's one of the top jiu-jitsu experts in the world, known for being able to beat guys that are top people and a lot bigger than him. Just had back surgery, though, so I'm not as scared of him as I normally am. But I've just known this guy for a good decade or so, hanging out with Joe at UFC events. So funny. So fun to hang out behind the scenes with. And I wanted to, I kept saying fly here, and all of a sudden he's here, but he's got to go right away. I wanted to do like some late night podcast with him, but it's okay. We'll definitely do it again. But you were on that big record-setting podcast with myself and Joe, where she co-hosted a lot. Record downloads, record views, and they tried to censor it. They tried to block it. Joe confirmed that. In fact, some things like Google Play never even listed it. They wouldn't put it on iTunes for a day and a half. That never happened to him. And they won't put it as the top iTunes ever podcast, even though it is. Joe has the internal control board. He can see it's the biggest podcast ever. He's already in the top 3. He has the biggest podcast he ever did, times double or more, and they won't show it on iTunes as #1. What do you think of that, Eddie?
It's pretty crazy. And first of all, I want to apologize.
Good to have you here.
I want to apologize for being an idiot and an annoying guest. I should have just kept my mouth shut. But
I want to apologize. I'm the one that usually interrupts people. Talking about with Joe?
Yes.
I'm glad you were there.
People complained about that, and rightfully so. I was very annoying. But the reason I got
it's actually kind of funny. Tell me about the replicas of
the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
No, but the main thing is I've taken a lot of heat over the years, a lot of heat for chemtrails, a lot of heat for that. And to finally get you in front of Joe Rogan's audience, who most of Joe Rogan's audience, they think you're crazy, and they think what the mainstream media, how they portray.
But they actually, 99% actually said, now I like Alex Jones.
No, because of the podcast, for sure.
They were blown away. They actually heard me.
I didn't get annoying until about an hour into the show. I just sat there.
Well, by the way, Marcos Morales and so many others watch the podcast. They also watch your podcast. They all love you. So let's be clear. You're loved on the Joe Rogan podcast. It was just that night some folks got pissed at you.
Yeah, well, it was because I wanted to clear up the whole chemtrail thing, because
let's do that. No one calls it chemtrails in the real world. I call it chemtrails. There is manipulation of the weather. It's mainstream news, and the media always picks it up and says, I'm crazy. It's on the Weather Channel that there are secret programs. It's just so secret we don't know the details. Then other people think every condensation trail is is an actual chemtrail when they're crystal trails. But NASA admits the Earth's 30% darker. You can Google chemtrails from space. It shows the NASA photos. It's changing our atmosphere, and they are adding chemicals to the jet fuel at the industrial level. Go ahead. And I hope Trump, in fact, next time I talk to him, I keep forgetting when I talk to him, I'm going to ask him to look into geospatial manipulation.
Well, they're calling it stratospheric aerosol injections.
Yes.
John O'Brien wasn't at the CFR talking about it, how it's captured as interest, and it costs $10 billion a year.
Geoengineering. Tell us about tell us about the real atmosphere manipulation that's going on.
Well, based on what John O'Brien said at the CFR, you can watch this on YouTube. Just like the chemtrail people have been saying for years, that eventually they're going to have to admit it, and they're going to say that.
And by the way, search engine, the CFR calls for geoengineering. It'll be on their own website.
Yeah, you even said this for years. Eventually, they're going to come out and say that, yes, they are spraying the atmosphere with metallic particles, but it's to save us, for global warming, to save the planet. And that's exactly what John O'Brien did. He got in front of the CFR and he said, we're going to start spraying the atmosphere with stratospheric aerosol injections, and it's going to cost $10 billion a year. And there's going to be some countries that are not going to be into it because.
And guess who's behind it? Word for word, you're saying what they put out. Bill Gates called for this. Bill Gates is getting government money to then run the program.
Yeah.
They're running programs to control hurricanes. It's all in like Nature and Science magazine. But then they go on the news and say, Alex says Obama sent tornadoes to Oklahoma. No, I didn't. So again, they misrepresent what's really going on.
Now, explain the difference between legit contrails and the stuff that is the stratospheric aerosol injections. What's the difference? Because people say, take a basic science class.
Well, there it is, London Guardian. Bill Gates backs climate scientists lobbying for large-scale geoengineering. So they're already doing it. $5 billion a year, Department of Energy, that they admit.
Yeah.
There was a Nobel Prize the two guys won in 1992 with the plan. By 94, it was launched.
Yeah.
And now it's over most of the world. It's a giant program. A lot of people, and I'm not kidding, since Trump got in, notice there's less of the chemtrails. And that's why Trump said we have advanced technology. We can pretty much cure stuff now. I want to roll this out to you. That's why the elites are really mad, because the word is, even though I haven't brought this up to Trump, I need to, is that Trump's killing all these programs. That's why they're so pissed. That's why all the agencies are just ignoring him.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, explain to the people out there who are still non-believers, what is the difference between legit contrails and the ones that last all day and completely cover the sky?
Okay, turns out people think of jet fuel as really volatile. It's not. Gasoline's like 3 times more volatile, more explosive, burns hotter, you name it. Jet fuel actually is like kerosene. And so kerosene, I don't recommend this. You can put it on your hand, light it, and it doesn't burn you for a while. That's what they kind of use like in a lot of the Hollywood sets and things. So you can add a lot of things to kerosene. They add barium salts, aluminum dioxide, and also some radioactive isotopes. There's only 3 big major makers of jet fuel in the United States. There's some sub ones as well. And they just, under a national security directive that's secret, but the patents are there, the directive is known, but the details are classified, they add this to the mix in a government program. They're paid to do it. And then they use the jet engines that the patents, there's like over 20 patents on this. You can Google it. And you get the patent office to use jet engines to then aerosolize for cloud seeding. And they claim that they're shielding the Earth from the sun because we've lost our atmosphere. But then you actually look what the scientists are doing. It's actually, hurting the planet, actually keeping heat in, the opposite. So it's like they're trying to create global warming, actually, because, again, the ultraviolet radiation goes through the clouds. The other good sun gets blocked and bounces back out. Those wavelengths get blocked, but the ultraviolet, it's like your dad tells you, on a cloudy day, you can still get burned because the ultraviolet comes through. That comes through, doesn't bounce back out. Okay, it just heats the Earth up. So they're trying to heat the Earth up in a big, giant secret experiment. And they admit they're doing it, but, it's just they won't give us the details, and then we talk about it. It's like, oh, Alex, nobody on your iPhone's watching you, and Google doesn't listen over the phone. I'm like, I have all their press releases 10 years ago right here. I mean, of course, now they all admit it yesterday but I had you here to interview you, Eddie. See, Eddie got in trouble talking over me, so now I have him as a guest. He won't talk. Eddie can talk more than anybody you know. I went to dinner with him a few weeks ago. He talked for 2 hours straight. It was awesome.
Well, on the Joe Rogan podcast, you wanted to talk more about Trump. I wanted to talk about chemtrails, so I kind of, and then plus you brought out the whiskey. I told Joe, no more drinking on the podcast. I get crazy. The Indian comes out. And then you brought out the bottle of whiskey. We started taking shots, and I wanted to talk chemtrails, and you wanted to talk Trump, and I got kind of angry.
You did a great job. Yeah. Let's talk about Tim Planet.
I apologize for that.
Let's talk about Tim. Stop it. Stop apologizing. I'm the one who's apologizing. I'm the interrupter.
Okay.
Tell me to shut up. No, but seriously, let's just tell that I've seen you with the hottest chicks I've ever seen anybody with. How do you get all the hot chicks?
Hey, I'm a married man.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was before.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Tell me about the lucky lady.
I love my wife. I love my son. I love my family. And
when did you get married?
I got married 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago and stuff in Vegas.
Hey, that was a long time ago, Alex.
I was good, though. Man, Joe can just go and go.
Joe can talk forever, yes. That's why he has a very successful podcast.
Yeah, he's a piece of work. Joe's awesome, isn't he?
He's an incredible man, yes.
Of course, you've known Joe longer than me, but I remember Joe. Did you know Joe like in 1998, 99?
That's when I met him. So we probably...
Well, I mean, he wasn't as big as he is now, but it wasn't a small guy syndrome. Like a big guy mess with him or got in his face. He would routinely choke guys out. Like I've seen him do it repeatedly. Like big guys, they would mess with him. I mean, but over the years he mellowed out. When did that happen?
When he started smoking weed, probably.
I guess he didn't really get into weed till when, yeah.
2001, 2000.
That's a funny story. He used to be totally, and then.
Yeah, it took me 6 months to talk him into it, but because I knew if I could get.
But you knew the old Joe, right? You didn't want to mess with him.
Yeah. Well, I was the crazy weed activist at jiu-jitsu. I was a purple belt trying to get everyone to understand.
No, let's just say it. You've defeated the the Gracies, all the top people.
I defeated Hoyler Gracie in 2003, and that's the only Gracie I've ever.
But people say I don't follow. I mean, I follow UFC some. I like it, but I'm not I don't know any of that. I mean, I just know that everybody says you're the best.
I am not the best.
Well, no, just long term, with the technique and stuff.
Jean-Jacques Machado is the best. That's my master. So I'm not the best. I'm not even close to the best.
But you did just get a back surgery too, didn't you?
Yes. Got a disc replacement in my back, and I'm still recovering. You know, doing yoga now, trying to get back to 100%. Hopefully, I'll get there. But
was it the jiu-jitsu that finally got your back?
The doctor said no. I went to the best. Apparently, I got the best doctor in the country. I didn't even know. Someone recommended him to me, and he said that unless you have direct, blunt force trauma into your back, that everyone's back some people's discs go out, some people don't.
Sure.
And he says it has nothing to do with what sport you're doing or whatever. But said there's 20-year-old. He was showing me MRIs of different people and said, look, this is a 23-year-old girl, never did anything in her life, and her back's screwed. She needs disc replacement surgery.
Well, I got pile drived once. So I got 2 discs that just are waiting to go out here and 2 down here. I'm not looking forward to that. All being puffed out, way out.
You're going to get surgery?
I don't know. It's just when they hurt, it's like, it's excruciating to even get up. Well, I'm sure you went through that too. So.
Yeah, my back was, I tried everything for it, and then I finally got an MRI, and they said, you don't have a disc in your L1S5, and or L5S1. I get those confused, but I was bone to bone for years and years, and that's where all the pain came from. So I finally went in there, got surgery, and hopefully it fixes it.
But you're such a cool cat and funny and nice. A lot of guys that are tough guys, I mean, a lot of them are cool. I guess you and Joe have helped kind of change things. But I remember just some of the people I've been around from, UFC, they really are kind of aggressive jerks. But it seems like that's getting phased out. There's still some of that?
There's douchebags in every genre and every community. Jiu-jitsu has them too. So there's douchebags in the conspiracy theory movement,
Absolutely. I know Dana White's a super nice guy, but for all the power he's got, he's really down to earth.
Yeah, very nice guy. Unless you get on his bad side, then he comes.
That's what Joe
at you with the wrath. No, but I love Dana. What he's done for the sport and MMA. I mean, without him, the UFC wouldn't be where it's at right now.
Absolutely. I remember Joe back when he was going, this UFC is going to start to be bigger than the NFL. Man, it's so awesome. And Dana White, and I was just like, and then all of a sudden it just explodes.
Yeah.
Joe's been there since the very start, pretty much.
Yep. He was doing backstage interviews in '97 back in...
You say Joe. I mean, I've seen the workouts. Works really hard. You say Joe's really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's one of my black belts. Yeah, he hasn't trained in a couple of years because he had a back injury himself. Didn't get surgery, but his back is kind of tweaked, and he might not be able to get back to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's talked about it, though. He's talked about coming back, but we'll see.
But he was a champion in Taekwondo, too.
Yes. He's one of the hardest kickers pound for pound that I've ever seen, and I've known.
Did you ever see that video where he was kicking till the blood was pouring out of his shins? I was like, it was crazy.
He was kicking till the blood was pouring.
I saw it once. I tried to find it again, but yeah, he was like kicking with some big UFC guy to see who could go the longest, like kicking a wall, kicking a pillar. And he did it till it was just like blood was, every time his heart beat, blood was just running out of the shin.
I'm not sure I've seen
I'm telling you, call Joe, absolutely.
Well, there's a video of him showing GSP, one of the greatest fighters of all time, showing him how to throw a turning sidekick, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, you got Joe Rogan, the Fear Factor guy, showing GSP, arguably the best pound per pound fighter of all time, and he's showing him how to throw a turning sidekick.
Let's Google that. I've seen that video. It's amazing. Yeah. What's the name?
You could just GSP, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan shows how to do what kind of kick?
A turning sidekick. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, here it is. Let's go ahead and turn up the audio. This is Joe Rogan.
No, this is not the one. This is him showing how to throw a turning sidekick, but you got to find the one that says GSP as well. This is, that was the...
Doesn't Joe have the classic bulldog features? Hey, let's get into serious stuff, though. What do you make of them coming out and saying, okay, we're listening to everybody, we're watching Congress, your TV's watching you, everything's true? I mean, we already knew because the industry had to admit it or they could get sued. But that's what's crazy. This was I'd love to say, oh, I knew it. I had sources. It was in the press releases in 2004. Here's 2006. Government. Industry to use computer microphones to spawn 150 million Americans. So the big news I want to tell people is this. We're going to skip this break so we have more time. If you think this is big and shocking, folks, this is the thing they attack me on and say I'm crazy. Your TV's watching you. That's the classic deal. They're now freaking out all over the news going, I guess Alex Jones is right. What the hell? Folks, that's not what's important. They're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. And you go, okay, what's the proof? Thousands of medical reports around the world where they test them. They're adding cancer viruses that aren't even contaminated. It's not even in the chain of manufacturing. It's coming from egg whites, and then it's got some monkey virus that was never part of the production. They're doing it on purpose. They've been caught, and then it just goes from there, Eddie. There's a whole program to kill us. Yeah. They're putting fluoride in the water, which, in fact, it's on my bookshelf, guys, Eco-Science is back there. He wrote it in 1974, the last White House science czar. But in 74, John P. Holdren wrote it, the book, 1,100 pages long, as a textbook. And it says, we put fluoride in the water to lower their fertility and to lower their electrochemical activity in the brain and as adjuvants to accelerate the other drugs we add to the water. Now, anybody can Google it and see it online. You can read the pages. It's, you know, it's at the different library website scans of it. See, they're lowering our fertility and killing us, folks. It's just like I told you the microphones and cameras are watching you. I didn't just pull that out of my rear end. They write books how they're poisoning you and your family. That's who Obama chose to run the damn country. That's who runs the whole chemtrail operation. Yeah. Yeah, and with the vaccines, the craziest thing about the vaccines, you know, most of the people believe, you know, they're safe and effective because that's what the CDC pushes. But, you know, when you really, really look into vaccines, all you need to know is on day one, when your baby is born, they give it a Hep B vaccine. That's sexually transmitted. Why would you take that? Why are they giving? That's the Tower 7. You might as well stomp on their liver on the floor. Yeah. Yeah. The day they're born, and you know why they give them? It'd be better for you to go ahead. You know the reason they give them when you ask the doctor why on day one are you giving a newborn a Hep B vaccine? Makes no sense. Say, well, when they're older, they're going to forget. They're not going to do it when they're older. So day one, it's standard. Unless you say anything, they're gonna inject your baby on day one with a Hep B vaccine. And then they act like you're crazy, and then the nurses, after you say no, they go, none of us do it either. Yeah. We've had nurses on who've given their names, but also nurses that have, you know, blurred out their faces. We're in the NICU, in the premature sick baby ward. They know when they give them the vaccines, they never used to do this. Now they order them to, that a lot of them stop breathing and die. So they get ready with the resuscitation, with the defibrillators, with the ventilators to keep them alive when the bioethics board orders them to give them the shots. Yeah. Hep B, day one. Listen, when you've got a 3-pound baby, until 5 years ago, they never gave it. They give the shots, the babies die. Sometimes they can't keep them alive. They die. Yeah. I mean, they give them the shot, an hour later, they're gone, baby. Yeah, and again, that exercise, in fact, we have the articles. Put it back on screen for TV viewers. I'll give it to people. Go ahead. And again, do I believe you can get learned immunity from a vaccine? Of course I believe in that technology. If there's some horrible disease running around killing people and I can get it or my kids can, we can attenuate the virus or whatever it is, my body learns how to defeat it. Of course I believe in science. The point is that a government that's been caught in all these secret experiments and giving black people syphilis and everything else, you know, and radiating foster kids to death, why the hell would you take something when it's got vaccine protection? Yeah, when we were kids, there was probably 3 or 4. Now it's over 50. Yeah, and why is that? Does it have anything to do with the fact that Ronald Reagan signed a bill in 1986 that gave immunity to the vaccine manufacturers, which is basically Big Pharma? Exactly, and Reagan didn't know what he was doing, but that's one evil thing Reagan did, and Trump's trying to repeal it. Yeah, so since 1986... the Big Pharma can get sued for vaccine injuries. That's when they started rolling them out and green-lighting them. That's why now we have, how many, like 45 shots babies got to take? And you can Google this. The U.S. government admits life expectancy's down in the U.S., infant mortality's up, and IQ has dropped more than 20 points since 1950. And according to mainstream... 20 points, brother. Yeah, go ahead. According to mainstream statistics, I could be wrong, I'm no scientist, but 50% of American kids are on some kind of medication, right? Yeah, it's 50%. Adults, 20. 50% of kids are on some kind of medication, and we vaccinate the most. And notice, it says our population's dropping on NPR, brought to you by a Big Pharma ad. They got Big Pharma as the advertiser. When you go look at the program Shots, it's underwritten by the big GlaxoSmithKline. Folks, it's social engineering. You wonder why people are like zombies? You wonder why there's so... In fact, let's play a clip from Paul Watson's report on this lady last week. And you go out to these anti-Trump events, they're like zombies. Whether you love Trump or hate him, they attack you, they yell, they scream, they act like zombies. Let's play a clip. Here it is.
This is.
That was a good clip. I like that clip. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And now for something completely different. Are we going to have that clip from Paul Watson's zombie deal? All right, we'll play it sometime. You know, these live computers. Ready for the clip? There. Well, third's the charm.
Here's your president!
Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just one individual. This isn't an accurate portrayal of the reasoned, credible, legitimate anti-Trump protest movement.
United States of America.
Oh, we should talk.
And by the way, this is how they act. This is like normal. You go out to any event, this happens.
It has to be a joke.
None of them work.
This is happening. I'm literally
Low IQs.
tell myself that I'm
I
not
love
kidding.
this.
You better fix it right
That's when
now.
Trump won.
I literally am gonna die.
This is D.C. I want to show more of the zombie lady. Let's extend it out.
Yeah.
Let's start it from the beginning. Can we do that? I want to start it from the beginning, just so people can see this lady. It's online. It goes on for like 30 minutes. Her howling with her tongue hanging out. And the thing is, Eddie, if you go to these events, this is how people act. Here it is.
Now for something completely different.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
It's more like babies throwing fits, but they're all super pale, little pot bellies, and they just look like undead. Then later she has her tongue hanging out, going, "Bleh."
Oh, man.
And I'm not trying to be mean. Something's going on. Look at this.
What the hell are they?
Look at this. I mean, that's what you see in mental institutions.
But wait, give her a chance. When she calms down, she might have an actual argument.
All right, I'm going to stop. Eddie,
That was amazing.
we're not trying to be mean to these people. I mean, what do you think of this?
I don't know, man. It's mass hypnosis? I don't know. I think people are...
By the way, you say I know all this. You and Joe, and I'm not kissing Joe's butt or your butt. On the show, Joe knew more about Pizzagate and stuff than I did. He was finishing my sentences. And so I misspoke for folks I'd talked to saying maybe Joe got threatened. He did not. You know, that's all. That was wrong when I said that. But seriously, why doesn't Joe do a separate show? This isn't conspiracy theories. It's crazy admitted stuff that's really going on. If Joe knows as much as I do or more, you're over here laying out all the facts just as good as I can or better. I mean, I think you guys should start doing a whole conspiracy podcast. You already hosted a national TV show.
I don't think Joe wants to do a conspiracy podcast. I think he wants to keep, just doing what he's doing. He's busy.
But more and more he is, because he's not a liberal or conservative. He's more like a libertarian kind of, right?
I think.
But I mean, more and more he's getting mad at the liberals and just like the Young Turks, how they call everybody a racist when they're not. And I've seen that a lot on the show. It's getting really big.
You know, Brian Callen, who's also on the show, too, when we do Fight Companions, he's about as far left as you can get, as far pro-government as you can get. But he's been texting me the stuff that's been coming out in Vault 7. He's been going, whoa, maybe there is some truth to what you're saying, So even
well, yeah, it's not the government's bad itself. There's rogue elements in there.
Yeah. If Brian Callen is kind of awakening, he's like sort of awake, and the sun got your eye. He's kind of waking up. So there's hope. There's hope.
That was crazy. Joe talked about that. Like literally, almost all the comments were positive. All these people that hated me said, "Wow, I actually like Alex Jones now."
Yeah,
because they actually heard me talk.
Yeah, and the more people hated me, it didn't bother me that much because it meant that they wanted to listen to you more. They were mad at me for interrupting you. So for me, the main thing for me was that people listened to you. You got all the facts. You got all the documents. I'm trying to direct people to listen to you.
Well, a lot of it's not even that. I mean, if a listener tells me, get John P. Holdren's book, he talks about fluoride to sterilize us and make us dumb, I go get the book and he says it in there, and I'm not that smart.
How crazy is it that people are okay with fluoride in our water? How crazy is that?
Even Harvard admits, take it out, it's causing cancer. They just won't do it. They just laugh and go, oh, you're a kook.
People don't seem to mind fluoride in the water. They don't.
Well, then they go, well, you need some fluoride. Yeah, you'll die without a small amount of calcium fluoride. We're talking about hydrofluorosilicic.
Yeah.
and it's acid out of fluoride.
And people think that the government really cares about our teeth, like they're doing it to take care of our teeth.
Now, let's put that article back up, because every time we put them up, there's a pop-up on all these sites. But I want to put it back up. The crew does a great job. And after a pop-up pops up, they take it down, and then we never see it. Now, there it is. Impact of fluoride on neurological development in children. God almighty.
Is Trump doing, does he know about the whole fluoride
He
thing?
knows all of it. He's trying to get the economy turned back on so everybody gets on his side. And the vaccines, the fluoride, the geoengineering, it's all over.
Is he aware of stratospheric aerosol?
I haven't talked to him specifically, but I mentioned other people. They go, yeah, he knows. The word was from high-level CIA. They go, the president knows everything. They've all told him he knows everything. We'll be back. He knows more than we know.
We are on the march. The empire is on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Coming up in the next segment, we're going to show you that Joe Rogan kick that's one of the best out there, according to Eddie Bravo, and get into some other issues. But, Eddie, stop saying I'm the one that's the expert. The show is all about everybody doing their own research. Paul Watson goes out, 12 years ago and finds Google saying, we're watching you over the camera, we're listening to you over the microphone, in a press release to shareholders about a new form of advertising. So anybody can do this. And you're just as smart or smarter than I am, so...
No, I doubt that.
BS.
And what is research?
Too humble.
Let's define research, because some people think that getting on the internet is not research. You have to go to a library or something. What do you think? What's research mean?
Research means, okay, well, they have all these reports that...
Can you get on the internet and do research?
Yes.
Okay, can you get on YouTube and do research?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
it's
Some
simple.
people think, oh, it's weird. The same people that say, there was a guy on Joe Rogan's podcast, some paleontologist. He's like, isn't it fucking, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we're going to delay
Believe
it.
that? Isn't it amazing that we have all the information of all time on our watch? Isn't that amazing? It's incredible.
So this is the real
It's
Eddie Bravo.
It's an incredible time we're
The
living
cuss
in.
words are coming.
And then all of a sudden,
the dinosaurs are replicas. Do it for me. I love it.
Did you know that? Did you know that all the skeletons of dinosaurs in all the museums are all replicas? They're not, because the real bones are too sensitive and they don't want people touching them, so they lock them up so no one could see them. So all the skeletons that you see, did you know this? I didn't know this. They're replicas. Isn't that weird?
I want to take
Isn't
you.
that weird?
I want to
Like,
take you
if
to the Natural History Museum.
The only
Here's what's
reason
going to happen. They're going to have a headline tonight on CNN. Alex Jones says dinosaurs weren't real. I'm going to tell you right now, I believe in it. But they're such liars in media and science and have been caught with big lying. All the big stuff with Piltdown Man and all the fake early humanoids they claim they dug up. Yes, there's a big history of paleontologists and archaeologists faking things. That's an admitted. In fact, Google history of archaeologists faking finds. It's epidemic. It's massive. It's a big problem. So you're right to question.
Yeah, I'll if there's something out there that I got to take some unknown scientist's word for, some unknown government scientist's word for, and there's science that we don't know anything about the experiments, we just got to take someone's word for it, a government scientist.
Well, my grandfather was an archaeology major at UT.
Yeah.
After World War II. That was before World War II. The point was, and he was involved out before when they were building Lake Travis, when they found stuff, and he saw them dig up the plesiosaur. That's at UT. So if you go to UT, a lot of the places have these big giant ones where only a few pieces are real, and they'll fall apart. They try to weld all those together so plastic's easier, because they think the public's dumb. But you go to UT, you go to the Natural History Museum, you go downstairs, nobody wants to look at it, you'll see 100% real dinosaurs all over the place. It's just...
They're not replicas?
They're not replicas.
Okay. All right. Then I stand corrected.
But
no, my point
you can argue about how long ago they were really here.
Well, my point is, if you go to a museum and there's a dinosaur skeleton and it's a replica, it's only cool to see a dinosaur skeleton if it's a real dinosaur skeleton. If it's fake, you might as well put skin on it.
No, I agree. When you go to the New York Metropolitan thing or the Smithsonian, most of it are replicas.
It's only cool if they're real. If it's not real,
and then they call it a conspiracy theory if you say it's a replica, Why are they showing us replicas?
Yeah, why not just put fake skin on it too, and just it's only cool to see a skeleton.
I took my kids to that walking with dinosaurs where the robots come out.
Yeah, you might as well just
maybe that's real, huh?
Fake the whole thing.
No, you've got a great point, because what do you do when the media gets caught lying so much? It then discredits all of it. I mean, who knows what's real, huh?
Yeah, and something that existed 60 million years ago. Come on, you gotta question it. You gotta.
I just love how Joe says during breaks, like, Eddie doesn't think dinosaurs are real. He says it like that. Like,
hey, I'm just questioning it, man.
No, I hear you. Look. An alligator's not in the dinosaur family, but it's even predates dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a 24-foot-long saltwater crocodile. That's a dinosaur. During the break, Fox News and CNN and stuff are on in there in the control room, and it was like, White House under increasing pressure to show the evidence of wiretapping. There's no such thing. The CIA and Google and everybody just admits they tap hundreds of millions of people a day, and they just admitted that they were listening to General Flynn at Trump Tower, and we've got top CIA people coming out saying that he was under surveillance. They're like, how dare Trump? We want to impeach him, Bloomberg says. In fact, here it is. Trump's wiretap tweets raise risk of impeachment. Noah Feldman. I mean, this is crazy. They turn it all around. It should be, wow, Vault 7. Cameras on your phone, cameras on your computer, the sensors, the audio, listening to you. I mean, that's been out forever. They turn it all around. How dare Trump say Obama was spying on him when they admittedly, remember a month ago, they said, we heard General Flynn with the Russians. We were wiretapping him. So Trump goes, what are you doing wiretapping me? You're crazy. We didn't wiretap you. I mean, the games they play. Eddie Bravo of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, one of the top jiu-jitsu trainers in the world. Of course, one of the co-hosts, Joe Rogan Experience podcast. You haven't got out your websites. Give folks your websites.
10thplanetjj.com, 10th planetjj.com. If you want to learn jiu-jitsu online or anything like that.
You were like super calm on air with me. You were out of control with Joe Rogan.
No shots. Where's the shots?
Where's the what?
Where's the shots?
Oh, yeah. We need to get some shots going.
If you want to wake me up, you got to pull out the whiskey.
That wasn't real whiskey we were drinking. We're like Hollywood people. We were drinking like, just like brown watercolor.
Yeah, I told Joe
food coloring.
Whiskey, and he gave me the green light. So, I could bite my tongue and be calm.
You go in that little kitchen. There's like 20 bottles of whiskey in there.
Yeah. It's, but on the dinosaur thing really quick, if you want to look into the whole, did dinosaurs really exist? Go to YouTube, look up Eric Dubé's Dinosaurs Don't Exist, and then decide for yourself.
You know what's
Eric
crazy?
Dubé.
Who's the Christian guy? I forget his name. I've had him on. Who's the guy that in Florida had the Dino Museum? Whether you agree? Kent Holand?
Mm-hmm.
Hovind, okay. Yeah, it's real distorted. You guys feed to me the last few weeks. I've not really bitched about it, but it's just like, Cylon Raiders are attacking the planet. Alex, this is what's going on. We have this guy somewhere. I'm not mad. It's just they keep repeating stuff to me because I just have to like portend what's being said down the system. Yeah, he just did this creation museum and saying the dinosaurs, lived before the flood. They threw his ass in prison.
Yeah, let's, for question. I don't know.
They said it was tax evasion because he had a 501c3 for his religious beliefs. You're supposed to have that. I mean, if they could have 501c3s to fund people to go kill cops, why can't that guy have that?
Yeah. I don't know anything about that guy, though, but Eric Dubé, YouTube, that guy, he breaks it down. It's pretty entertaining at the very least.
Now, we should have Dr. Kent Hovind back on the broadcast. He's a good guy. Now, getting serious, though, what do you make, be honest, of Trump?
Man, I don't know, because when you listen to, I love listening to CIA whistleblowers like John Stockwell. I love listening to him. And what he says, what the CIA does is they're basically, their job is to take out leaders that are not playing ball economically, internationally, right?
Yes.
So if you think about all the countries south of the United States, Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, they're all in shambles economically, right?
Yes.
All those countries. And to think that the U.S. is immune to that, all these countries, I don't know how many countries, is that 30 countries south of the United States, something like that, all of them in shambles economically, right?
Yes.
I don't know. So to think that it seems like the people that the globalists, that's that's the formula.
Well, the IMF, the World Bank, admittedly in their own documents that relate to 2002, they want to keep the third world poor, whether it's Eastern Europe or Latin America.
And it seems like that's the formula. Let's just keep everybody.
And now they want that. The globalists want to make the West poor now, too, to control us. And Trump, look at this, 290,000 new jobs, massive new factories moving back. It seems like he's blocking that.
So listen, so you asked me about Trump. Either what you're saying about Trump is the truth and I'm behind Trump, or maybe the globalists thought, how do we crush the U.S. economy and make them just like all the other countries in the Western Hemisphere? Maybe if we let Donald Trump be president, people will freak out, will aid the freak out. Maybe they wanted Trump in so that to divide us.
That's actually true.
I don't know.
Well, that's
maybe
actually true.
They wanted it.
Early on, they thought Trump was easily beaten. It blew up in their face. They wanted him against Hillary, thinking he'd lose, but they didn't understand that the public was awake. See, there's a lot of smart folks in these agencies, but the politicians like Hillary don't listen anymore.
If they're
in charge, they're completely disconnected from reality. They don't know what they're doing. Trump completely bit them in the butt.
But I hope that's true. I hope that's true.
Oh, he's real.
But if it's
look at the MSM, how much they hate him.
Yeah, but maybe the globalists or whoever's in charge, the Illuminati or whatever, maybe the plan was like, how do we crush America's economy? Let's get Trump in there. He's going to, and Trump is probably not even involved in it, in that. He's just actually trying to do the right thing.
Eddie, globalism's in trouble all over the world, though. They're trying to force feed it. They were arrogant. It's failing. They're not invincible.
Okay.
You know what the Illuminati means?
I want to believe that.
You know what the Illuminati means?
The illuminated ones?
Yeah. And actually, there was a renaissance against tyranny, and then the corrupt groups tried to take over movements of the Renaissance. They called themselves the Illuminati. They were the ones trying to hijack the Renaissance and end it. So the false Illuminati calls itself the Illuminati, but there's a real Illuminati, and nobody's even officially part of it. It's just anybody that wants to empower humanity. Okay, so you could say I'm one of the leaders of the Illuminati worldwide. And you could probably argue I'm the leader of the Illuminati. Or Donald Trump is.
They're going to sample that.
Well, I mean, let's get real.
Alex Jones thinks he's He admits he's Illuminati.
Well, I do, actually. George Washington was the leader of the Illuminati, the real Illuminati. And then the French Revolution was the false Illuminati. This was all in his letters. This was known. They really wanted to end slavery. It didn't mean they got it done, but they had this idea of empowering humanity. That was meant illuminated. God is the real light. Lucifer is the light bearer, the false light. So God is the real illumination. There's a false counterfeit. So the Illuminati we know of that does all this bad stuff and all the devil worship and stuff and compromising people in sex orgies and things, that's how they did it back then. Now it's child molestation. Back then you get in trouble for an orgy with women. Okay.
What, when?
Well, I mean, 240 years ago. Now it's got to be child molestation. And notice Trump's exposing all that. He's rolling that up. Town Hall, why is MSM ignoring Trump's sex trafficking bust? But I don't go to secret rituals. I'm not in some group. I'm not, I mean, I'm with the Renaissance, true human empowerment. It's just an idea. That's the real illumination versus the false illumination that's the Illuminati. Let's expand on that. I got invited. I got told by a major movie star who was a Rhodes Scholar that you're going to be invited to Oxford in the next couple months. And it's not just going to be in Oxford. You're not just going to speak to the faculty. They're going to want you to go in these underground caves and do sex rituals, and then you're going to be in the Illuminati. And I said, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I got the call, an official letterhead, come speak at Oxford. And I said, no, Cambridge, called. That's a different group. And it was really, they were telling me, come to the thing, join the group. And Benjamin Franklin had gone when he lived in England, actually been part of those. It was the Hellfire Club. So I've been invited to the Hellfire Club in England. That's real, brother. All my kids, that's real. So, you understand, this stuff's real.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, is there, I know there was a bust in Southern California. They busted like 400 people for some kind of child sex.
Thousands now, yeah.
But was there a new one that
all over New York, Pennsylvania?
Politicians this time, right?
Well, they're getting the handlers and Sandusky, son, you name them. Here it is, that's Town Hall.
Is this Town Hall or is it? No, this is Southern
That's
California.
KTLA. Yeah, that was the one that happened the day I was out there at Joe's or the day before.
Now, which is the latest one? The latest one.
The president was it's just sex trafficking rings are being busted everywhere. Because they knew where they were. They were just never allowed to bust them because they were procuring kids. See all these articles?
Do you think that could be the reason there's such a resistance against Trump because he's busting these people?
Oh, absolutely. He's not a pedophile.
Yeah, and it seems like according to Ted Gunderson, if you look at, he was
a great guy,
ex-FBI chief in LA.
He was dead on.
Yeah, he was the one talking about this gigantic.
He exposed on my show Penn State like 15 years. I was like saying, "Sir, don't say that during the breaks. I don't want to get sued." He exposed Boys Town before it broke. Yep. He exposed Penn State. He told me about the British Prime Minister from his sources in MI5 slitting kids' throats. That was just in the news last week. The major police chief says he was a pedophile. I learned about from other sources. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, Ted Gunderson, again, has many videos on YouTube.
He's dead now, but
yeah. He didn't he think they were killing him and poisoning him?
Oh, they did. They tested his blood. He had, it was arsenic.
Yeah.
He was a tough guy, man.
And he said he not only...
They poisoned, I'm not allowed to get into it, they poisoned 3 other people.
And he was in the FBI for 27 years. He was
the head of California.
Yes. And there's many videos of Ted Gunderson, former FBI chief. He talking about not only the gigantic pedophile ring that's going on nationally and internationally, but he was talking about the Satanism that's involved as well. And people think,
well, that's the deal. Here's the deal.
You're crazy for talking about that.
Look, a regular gang, whether it's white supremacist or Mexican gang, you got to go rob a liquor store. You got to hit an old lady in the head with a gun. You got to shoot somebody. You got to kill a rival gang member. Those are rituals.
Yeah.
Earn your bones.
Yeah.
You know, I earned my bones when you were with cheerleaders, you know, from the Godfather, but that's not enough. That's just showing you'll kill somebody and they got dirt on you. You got to hurt kids, and it's not just molest them. The highest levels, they kill them.
And they do something about baby blood, right? There's something.
Well, they terrorize the kid, then they drain their blood off while they pump all their hormones out, and then they drink all the adrenaline and all this, and then the essence. Yeah.
So and
by the way, Satanist groups have been caught doing that.
Wouldn't it be smart for the people that are running these rings, the people at the top, to get as many people involved as possible, right, in high places and powerful places? It seems like there's this giant resistance for Trump. It just seems like it's got to have something to do.
They're coming after me. I mean, I can't get into it on air, but we already lost, this year it'd be $5 million. That was all our extra budget and more. They took it away. Google banned us. Facebook's banning us, bro. I mean, we're getting hit hard. But I don't care. I'm going to keep going to the end. I mean, the listeners have come through, but they're really, this operation is like iffy if we can even stay where we're at. And I'm not trying to encourage the attacks, but they're having an effect. Listen, look what Facebook banned. They banned 2 things yesterday. The Rand Paul interview. It's a senator. How is that fake news? They didn't even notify us. They just banned it. They told USA Today they're not going to start banning news that they say is fake. And then also in fact, pull this clip up, guys, and then I'll show the Joe Rogan kick. Former CIA analyst, Obama gave green light for NSA, CIA to sabotage Trump. Former CIA analyst Larry C. Johnson says that according to his sources, the Obama administration worked with the NSA and the CIA and Britain's GCHQ to disseminate information about Trump that was illegally obtained. Well, they did illegal leaks. They admittedly were surveilling. I think we forgot a month ago. Via surveillance before the election. Johnson joined the CIA in 85 and was later promoted to become senior regional analyst for the Central Intelligence America. That's over the U.S. for Central America, so south of here, before moving on to his work with the State Department. And he went on to say it's a huge deal. It's totally illegal. And it's not their fault they keep missing clips. I keep jumping around what clip I'm going to. Do you guys have that clip ready? Let's go ahead and go to that clip from RT that is an admitted former CIA section analyst head. That's over thousands of people over a whole region. Central America, also operated North America. And he's telling RT this, and we're not allowed to give you this on Facebook. So, because this is fake? No, because we told you 12 years ago they were using cameras on your computer to watch you? It's because we're on target, folks. You think the President of the United States just calls regular people? You think the heads of, I mean, I'm not going to, I shouldn't even get into all this. See, I used to think the CIA was all the bad guys. They were actually just the people fighting for the country with bad people above them, and they were always getting burned. As a course of action, they would burn each new group of people to actually keep control of who the patriots were. Like, I grew up and had some family that had been in covert action in the CIA, like killing people. And all I'd ever heard was, no, the government brings in the drugs, they kill people, you don't want to join it. And so I had that view. But over the years, the people inside that know all this now have the internet, they have us, they have the people. And so I've learned that, like, major SEAL teams, in fact, the most elite SEAL team, but Army, Delta Force, you name it, years ago, they would come in and order them to listen to InfoWars. And I would hear this, like, 15 years ago and go, oh, yeah, sure, right. Yeah, they're telling Delta Force, listen to me. It's all confirmed now. And so they said there was no one else covering this. They said, you listen to Alex Jones. He knows what's going on. And that's just a fact now. And the media never runs with this because they go, what are you talking about with Trump? Well, he talks about how the intelligence community really loves me. So here we are saying they're the enemy. William Binney was the head of the NSA. He actually ran it, not the director, but the technical head. He's a patriot. He comes on all the time. They're the ones that exposed it, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I was told by Pachenik, who was high-level CIA, used to run actual overthrow governments. He said, the next month they're going to release even more on the CIA to discipline the top of the CIA. The CIA released that on the CIA.
Now, Dr. Steve Pachenik, totally legit, right?
Oh, yeah.
High level?
I mean, when he comes on the show, it's in, like, Italian newspapers, and then they send, like, FBI to his house, and he's called before federal courts.
Well,
when he releases stuff, they threaten him with national security arrest. That's how real he is.
Dr. Steve Pachenik, and you got some heat for this. This is kind of changing the subject a little bit. Dr. Steve Pachenik on your show said that no kids died at Sandy Hook, that it was a Homeland Security drill that they passed off as a real event.
Says that.
That's what he said.
And I've been hit really hard with it. I can't prove it one way or the other. I know Anderson Cooper standing up there and turns and his whole nose disappears. I work in TV. I know what a blue screen is, bro.
Yeah. And I have one question about Sandy Hook. The one question, the Tower 7 question is, why weren't the medevac helicopters
Here's the deal. Pachenik ran the operation to overthrow at least 7 countries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on record.
Yeah.
He co-wrote Tom Clancy's books. He's the Jack Ryan character.
Yeah.
Because he used to be in covert action himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he got into the CIA. Here's a big secret about the CIA. Like, they've got hitmen that are like former special forces and stuff that are Army, Navy, Marine Corps, because you like graduate out of the SEALs and out of things into basically squads that are put in strategic locations around the country, sleeper cells. And so that's basically what goes on. But who they really have for assassins are doctors and psychiatrists. And so a lot of these people you see that are doctors and psychiatrists and things that head up things that were, in the Navy or in the Army, they were all put through secret programs and a bunch of other stuff, and they're the real hitmen. And and there's some weird thing in the government where it's a medical procedure we're doing, like torture is all a medical procedure.
Yeah.
It's this thing with doctors. So they send real hitmen after you. It's guys with medical degrees. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. Anderson,
it's all very professionally done, though. You understand?
You mentioned Anderson Cooper. What people think he was in the CIA, right?
Yes.
And wasn't Operation Mockingbird a CIA operation to infiltrate the media?
Yes.
And Anderson Cooper was in the CIA, right?
I saw articles saying he's not, but he admittedly was. And then they go, there's articles saying that no Muslims ever did a terror attack and that no such thing as Muslim extremism exists. I saw CNN say that last night. The Pope says it. Again, they're at war with reality, Eddie. Yeah. I mean, is there ever Islamic terror?
Isn't it funded by...
Exactly. But the point is there ever Islamicists that blow stuff up?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, they say there isn't. It's this mind game. They're going, Trump is crazy. He says there's Islamic terror. It doesn't exist. What the hell are they talking about? So they play these games.
That's a weird one because, I mean, didn't the Pentagon just get busted for paying $500 million to some UK PR firm for fake ISIS videos?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Islam has been scapegoated and set up and radicalized, but now the radical attack's real. Our government, the criminal elements, have funded radical Islam. First to fight the Soviets, but then since then to actually create this giant war. So I don't want to kill Muslims. The point is, though, we can't bring in people from Yemen, and I mean, everybody knows you can't go to Somalia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a failed state. Women literally are sold into slavery. We're going to unvetted bring people in from Somalia, like 50,000 a year? Think that's a good idea?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly. So, yeah, there it is. Pentagon paid PR firm $540 million to make fake terrorist videos. Yeah.
Isn't that incredible? Isn't that $450 million? Or what was that? $540 million to make fake terrorist videos?
Oh, I misread it. Sorry.
Jesus Christ. Like, what? Like so you can't believe anything that you see when it comes to.
By the way, Eddie, I knew they'd done that before with a separate case. I didn't even know about that article. That's from RT. And it's declassified. I see.
Isn't that crazy?
Eddie, why don't you do a question everything show? It's not conspiracy. We're just questioning stuff. Why don't you do a show?
I'll come out here once a month. How about we do it here?
Yeah, but you're too. Let me tell you, Eddie is the real deal. I mean, he's one of the toughest guys out there, and he's just so calm and so nice unless you give him a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, keep the whiskey away from me.
Me too.
Indian comes out.
I get pretty bad. Admit that was food coloring. It was brown food coloring. We couldn't be drinking like 3 shots at a time. It was not real.
I mean, isn't it crazy that's the biggest podcast of all time?
And that they won't list it. Joe,
they still won't list it.
He sent me text shots of the. It's the biggest thing in iTunes history, bar none.
The biggest thing in iTunes history.
Biggest thing. All added together, it's like 40 million views. There are a few podcasts that are like 10 minutes long that are bigger, but Joe's in the top 3. He has like a 3-hour show, 4-hour show. It varies for those that don't know. And he said hands down the biggest podcast in history. It has like 60% of the viewers of the Super Bowl. That's and crazy. They will not list it at the top.
So the Super Bowl was like 110 million.
Yeah.
And Joe's podcast was like 40.
It's 40 on just a couple platforms. A bunch of others. Derivatives, it's probably like 70 million.
That's incredible.
And they won't let you see it.
That's like a bad Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy. But listen, I'm going to get into all this other stuff. Go because you're too humble. They got to see the wild Eddie Bravo. It goes from absolutely ridiculous to absolute genius. Go do an hour interview. And I got to catch your plane with one of the great reporters back there so we can actually hear Eddie Bravo unchained. But let's go out if we have it. I mentioned the CIA guy. I'll come back with that. Eddie's got to go. And we're also going to play that Joe Rogan kick since I mentioned it. Let's go out to break if we have time with the Joe Rogan kick. What's this kick called?
A turning sidekick. And he's teaching GSP, one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Joe will be texting me. He'll be like, I didn't kick a pylon. It was another guy's leg. I saw the video where Joe keeps kicking until the guy quits, and then blood is just pumping out of Joe's leg.
I've never seen that one.
I've seen it. It was like 10 years ago. I know I saw it. And if Joe says it's not true, he's senile. I'm not going to retract that one. All right, Joe's awesome. Look at him there. Joe's like a gorilla. Of course, I'm like one too, but not as flexible.